Told you.
Can't believe he got a book deal on Rick's Trash Moon.
Come on, we're boarding. You guys still read books?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Rick and Morty Season 8, Episode 9 video. There are a ton of Easter eggs and references, callbacks all the way to Season 1 because it was a big Morty Jr. episode. They finally brought the character back. There are also a lot of jokes about that too, with the writers clowning on themselves for forgetting about the character since Season 1. And he's not even Morty's only child that the show has created. The really big reminder is that the finale is next week, and Season 9 will probably be releasing next year around the same time Season 8 released this year. So we'll probably hear them talk more about Season 9 in the next couple weeks after the actual finale comes out. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. The episode was titled Morty Daddy, which is a reference to the TV show sitcom Baby Daddy. During that show, a man gets surprised by a girl from a one-night stand who leaves a baby at his doorstep, claiming that she got pregnant from their one-night stand and this is their child now. Tying into Morty Jr.'s whole origin story about how he was created in the first place is the offspring of Morty in the Gazorpian Gwendolyn sex robot. Also feeding into the plot of the episode where Morty Jr. reveals that he has many paternity suits and many kids out there that he tries to escape having to deal with by just staying on the trash moon that Rick created. One of the big themes of the episode, too, is the whole cycle of bad dads. Like, bad dad raises a child that then turns into a bad dad himself and then has his own child, which also turns into another bad dad. Like I said, this is the first time that Morty Jr. has been back on the show or been referenced in a big way since his original episode, Raising Gazorpazorp, when he was born back in Season 1. It's also a notable episode because it's one of the rarer times that Summer replaces Morty as Rick's main sidekick for an adventure. It's happened before, like they've done that before, but it's not a very frequent thing. During the cold open, Jerry complains that they eat pancakes too frequently over breakfast, which I think is a reference to a couple things. One, Rick is the person that likes pancakes, and they do this all the time on the show. Like, they've eaten pancakes in many episodes every season since Season 1. But also it's a callback to the butter robot, which also shows up in one of the many trash piles on the trash moon. We'll get to all those Easter eggs in a second too, because it's one of those episodes where like they just have piles and piles of Easter eggs and references to bits in robots from previous episodes, things from previous episodes. So you can actually watch this episode like 10 times and still find new Easter eggs in the background. Morty then gets a call from Morty Jr., who's at the hospital. The family not instantly remembering Morty Jr. is also a joke about how long it's been since the show followed up on the character, like the writers forgot, quote-unquote, that there was a Morty Jr. and just didn't want to deal with him again. Jerry puts him on blast for writing his book about Morty being a bad dad, feeling like it also calls him out, Jerry, for being a bad dad himself for raising Morty poorly. To be fair, Morty is 14. That was part of the whole bit, like a 14-year-old probably isn't going to make a great dad. Jerry also reminds everyone that he thinks of himself as a writer too because he did write a book called Never Trying, Never Fails. Notice Jerry has also extensively noted his copy of the book, meaning that he's combed through it many times in detail. I think this is also a sly joke about his own relationship with his father also being bad. Like, the cycle of fathers goes back to Jerry's father too, which they also did a bit about during Season 1. Beth saying it's okay to hate your kids makes it sound like she actually hates Morty and Summer just a little bit. She's shown that she does love them, but sounds like she also kind of hates them low grade sometimes too. Rick reveals that he booked a reservation at a precognition-themed restaurant and their pager is going off, meaning their table is ready for them. I guess this pager is just so powerful that it works across massive distances.
Summer made me get a reservation for us at some dumb precog restaurant.
Their whole thing, because precognition, is figuring out what you want to eat before you arrive, so the food is ready to go, you don't actually have to wait for it. Summer calls out the rule of threes. This is a reference to Rick's, quote, comedy comes in threes, which goes all the way back to Season 3, Episode 1, when he first calls it out as a writer's trope, like a joke being paid off 3 different times in an episode. Jerry and Beth remind everyone how freaky they are when they reveal that he has a vibrator inside him, does not mention which part of his body it's stuck in, but you can get, like, sun don't shine, there's only a couple places where he could stick that vibrator. And I love how grossed out everyone is, but Beth and Jerry just seem completely unperturbed by it, like they're not bothered at all or embarrassed at all. Kind of like he walks around like this on the regular with a vibrator inside him. This episode didn't feature any of the new intro scenes. There's one episode left. We will see if there are any more that show up during that episode. The whole bit with the downbeat TV show at the hospital is just a joke that the moment in the show where Morty comes to see Morty Jr. being a bit of a downbeat in terms of the pacing, the function in the script. It's more of a writer joke. We see as Morty Jr. is a Gazorpian, he aged way faster than normal, so he's dying of old age now slowly, even though we find out that he's just gaslighting Morty because he's trying to find new material for a sequel book to his original one that was calling out Morty as a bad dad, because that was the only book that he ever wrote that made any money, so he just wants to do it again. If you couldn't tell, Maurice LaMarche came back to voice the character again. He voiced the adult Morty Jr. at the end of his Raising Gazorpazorp episode in Season 1. He apologizes for his book, and for at least most of the episode, it seems like he does actually genuinely want to make amends with his father, Morty, and Morty also wants to make amends with Morty Jr. Part of the whole trick where he's gaslighting him, though, is also meant to feed into the whole other plot with Rick and Summer being gaslit by the precogs that are just trying to escape their situation with the restaurant and do the food truck, so they're basically just trying to lead Rick around and use him to escape. Morty Jr. is basically doing the same thing with Morty, just using him so that he can get more material for his next book. But he makes it sound like he actually wants to make peace with his dead mother, the Gazorpian sex robot Gwendolyn from Season 1. He's got that same advertisement for the product that they actually showed back in Season 1 too. When Morty apologizes for the soft canceling, it sounds like a reference to Morty Jr. being canceled as in cancel culture. Maybe that's also a meta joke about him having all the paternity suits and all these women coming after him. When you start seeing the beings at the precog restaurant, these are all based on the precogs from Minority Report. So most of this whole subplot with Summer and Rick is based on Minority Report jokes. When you see the balls that have people's orders on them, in the movie, they actually represented the crimes that people were supposed to eventually commit. Summer's whole avocado toast feels like a millennial joke, like basic bitch kind of joke, which Rick also does, saying that she brought them to a restaurant based on her internet browsing, which is a very millennial kind of thing to do. Like, he's also making fun of her for the same reason. But we also find out that the precogs were lying about this and were using it as a way to lead them on the adventure so that they would basically rescue them from this life so they could just set up the food truck. A lot of this is also just based on the actual plot of the Minority Report movie with Tom Cruise, where they actually dig into the whole morality issue with precogs and how accurate they actually are, and whether it is determinism or causality, like how much are the precogs influencing this themselves on purpose, like are they just gaslighting them? Basically, a lot of the tropes that you see Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise examining in the Minority Report movie. Morty then takes Morty Jr. to Rick's shop in the garage and shows him the garbage portal where they sent Gwendolyn's body to the trash moon. Notice that the portal color is also blue. They started to get into this whole phenomenon, especially after Season 5 when evil Morty broke out of the Central Finite Curve and you go to the other places outside the Central Finite Curve where there are many, many different colors of portals. But the whole idea is that this portal just specifically only leads to the moon that Rick turned into his trash pile. When we see the Salvatron robot tower, it feels like an Eye of Sauron Lord of the Rings reference. The little robots, though, feel like Portal game references. They're voiced by Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny and a billion other things. You've probably seen him at least somewhere, but most people recognize him from Always Sunny. They literally just had Danny DeVito on the show, who was also from Always Sunny, and obviously a billion other things too. But it is funny to see them have multiple Always Sunny actors on during the same season. That might just be a coincidence, though. Morty explains that all the trash here are inventions that Rick creates when he's drunk and he doesn't remember, so he created the Salvatron robot to comb for anything that might actually be worth something that he wants to save. Their whole joke here about the robots not being sure whether or not Morty has any value is just a callback to Rick complaining, questioning Morty's actual worth to him. Even though he's shown that he does love Morty, he constantly complains about Morty not pulling his own weight or not being good enough. They set up the whole bit with the Salvatron robot being afraid of Rick and not wanting to piss him off again because they mistakenly thought that diamonds might be worth something and Rick not caring about diamonds. When they start attacking them with their guns, they look like they're powered by portal fluid just because of the green energy that comes out of them. Back during the Rick and Summer plot, Rick makes a joke about the tropes of Rick and Morty adventures, saying that he can't just yoink Summer out of a problem and save her on a dime the same way that he does with Morty all the time. We see the precog cooks work in a tank just like the precogs from the Minority Report movie that are voiced by Eliza Coupe from Happy Endings. They eventually reveal that they called the police because they knew this was going to happen, but they're also trying to influence Rick's actions because they wanted to escape, so some of the things that they're telling Rick and Summer are actually false. This is also some of the things they deal with during the actual Minority Report movie. How accurate are the precogs? Are they just making stuff up? Are they trying to influence future actions in their predictions? When they go back to the Morty's subplot, notice that the first pile they fall into, there's a plumbus, there's the spaghetti that's made from people. I wonder who that spaghetti used to be. There's even something that looks like a lightsaber hilt. There are a lot of different lightsabers that show up during the episode because they have that whole episode of Rick and Morty base on lightsabers. They meet the sentient walking pizza box that craps out pizzas periodically. Morty's kind of bummed about, like, oh, I really want some pizza, I'm kind of hungry. And takes them to the underground civilization made up of Rick's creations that have evaded the Salvatron robots, calling it Garbtopia, another society that Rick inadvertently created, like the Microverse, the Teenyverse. Rick seems like he does this all the time, all over the place. You notice the actual lightsaber hilt, like the lightsaber is on, activated next to a bunch of DVDs. I guess the joke here is that Rick threw out a bunch of old DVDs because he uses interdimensional cable streaming so much now, so DVDs don't get a whole lot of play. The walking tape player is a Transformers Soundwave reference. There's a big statue that looks like the Metropolis robot from that movie. Pretty much all these robots are made up of ones from previous episodes, like the Heistatron robot, the delivery drone, the robot soldiers from the other planet. I think I even saw the singing robot that thought it was Rick's wife. There's Randotron, maybe the mechanical Morty from the summer robots that he created in a previous season. There's self-cleaning toilets. You can let me know if you spotted some other robots that you recognize in the background too. Like each scene had one of these moments where you basically have to freeze the frame and you can zoom and enhance on this forever and still find new Easter eggs in every different scene here.
There was a while where Rick's inventions could all walk and talk. It was a short period.
Morty Jr. discovers robots singing from his Enchanted Goblin book series that Morty threw away apparently, which is a big joke on the Harry Potter book series. Revealing that Morty Jr. gave Morty a copy of all the books and Morty just threw them away. Later in the episode, though, he does reveal that he actually read them and understands the lore of the books. So it wasn't like he was being a bad dad, like he read them, understood them, and then threw them away. You can let me know if you think you spotted any other Easter eggs when they go to the robot graveyard besides Gwendolyn here, but there's a whole section that seems like it's dedicated to sex robots, meaning that Rick has made or at least thrown away multiple ones. Also Morty too, because he claims that he's actually been with many, many women. We know about some of the times that Morty has actually had sex. He's done many, many times on the show. Most recent one that he actually references here is being with the octopus in last week's episode, so the joke here is that the octopus was higher on the list than Gwendolyn. Morty Jr. claims that he slept with Heather Locklear, also setting up the whole bit where he has many, many children out there that he's fathered over the years, so he's been very, very prolific. And a lot of what happens in the episode is him trying to escape all the paternity suits. Like, I'm so broke, Dad, I need money, I have so many people coming after me for child support. The ironic thing being that he turned into his own father, the own bad dad that he called out in the initial book that he wrote back during season 1. They get attacked by the robot that's made up of other combined parts of other trashed robots and wants to be freed and allowed to live with the other robots, like the regular trash robots. It calls them out for trying to rank women and being problematic, a PC, evil trash robot that then tries to kill Morty Jr., setting up the bit later in the episode where he actually saves them using Gwendolyn's body. Rick also reveals his automated defense system for situations like this, like he predicted that Morty would lead a trash uprising, so he created a bunch of defense mechanisms to prevent him from escaping back into the regular dimension with all these trash robots. Also the idea that Rick really, really hates the Goonies movie, which makes it feel like Dan Harmon or the writers really hate the Goonies movie. That always feels like them calling out the writers actually hating something or not liking something. But when he calls out the trash uprising, this also sets up the bit later at the end of the episode where they actually do lead a trash uprising. They fall into more tunnels and more trash heaps. There are way more Easter eggs in all these piles. So like pause, zoom and enhance all over the place. You see the actual Butter Robot, so R.I.P. Butter Robot. This robot with the ripped off face and the human hair is also from a previous episode. I can't remember exactly which one off the top of my head, but if you can remember which specific episode, just write it below in the comments. There's another lightsaber hilt here in the hole in the ground. Notice Morty is also hiding next to nuclear waste. That's not good. They've already shown that Rick has modified Morty's body many times though, so he'll probably be okay. There's a really big sword here in the background. I can't remember which game this is from, but I do believe this is a video game sword. You can let me know in the comments if you think you remember which one. Morty Jr. then saves them using Gwendolyn's body to trick the Salvatron robots. And right next to Morty, you also notice there's another can of his Morty spaghetti. Couple references to that spaghetti episode. When they mention autograph hounds, those are just people who spend all their time trying to get autographs from celebrities, then turn around and sell the stuff to make money from it. One of them, right after this, also asking him to sign an action figure from his book series. Meaning that Morty Jr. also sent Morty some of his action figure merch, and Morty then threw it away. Jr. then reveals the whole truth about all the paternity suits to Morty, also revealing that Morty is now a grandfather technically.
I'm so broke, Dad. There's so many paternity lawsuits.
Back during the Summer and Rick plot, she reveals that she's drugged the precogs and Rick and forces them to reveal that they did make everything up in order to get Rick to save them so that they could eventually set up the food truck, also helping lead the chase, like direct the chase, so that the food truck would crash where they wanted the food truck to actually be set up. You also see that during this whole chase, the precogs cause Summer to crash the truck through the restaurant supply store so they can get supplies for the actual food truck. So literally this whole subplot is just the precogs trying to gaslight Summer and Rick to do whatever they want to do so they can make the food truck. When Summer crashes through the billboard, it is a billboard for car accidents. Then Morty Jr. and Morty tried to lead the revolt against Salvatron, call back to Rick's automated defense protocol. I assume you're trying to lead some sort of trash revolt here, Morty. When you see the devil robot here, that's a reference, I think, both to Futurama, that devil robot, and it's a Devil's Advocate movie reference to Keanu Reeves. They start the fight against the Salvatron robots. The urinal robot sacrifices itself to stop them, and they take down the tower, which feels like a reference to the end of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, where Sauron is destroyed again. Its dying wish being that they not tell Rick what happened here so that Rick won't get pissed off, repair the Salvatrons, and then punish the Salvatron robots again. Apparently, whatever Rick did to them before, it was so terrible that it's deathly afraid of pissing Rick off again. It would rather die than piss off Rick again. Rick then gets pissed off when he learns what the precogs did, gaslighting him just to create the food truck. Like, oh, you didn't care about me at all, you just wanted to make this food truck. Then they go back to Morty and Morty Jr. after they've fixed everything and taken over the trash moon. Him with the white cape also feels like a Scavenger's Reign reference too. If you've not watched that TV show, I believe it's on HBO Max still. It's actually pretty fantastic. Morty then jokes to him that the portal back home still won't work because Rick hates Goonies so much, and Morty Jr. claims that he's already taken a garbage wife that's a microwave and plans to rule over this place and have a child with it, also to escape all the paternity suits in the main dimension. When he tells the microwave that their new son won't be like Morty at all, also paying off the bit about him being another terrible dad, like the cycle of bad dads continues. Morty is then able to finally escape using the discarded hot dog truck, revealing that Rick eventually junked them and threw them to the trash moon. Like that's his revenge against them for trying to gaslight him. Then they transition between Morty Jr. narrating the end of his next sequel book that he said that he was trying to write. Like that was the whole reason for this whole subplot, to create material for his next book so that he can make some money off of it. With Jerry and the rest of the family revealing that they found a copy of it inside the airport as they're about to go on a trip together. During the actual post-credit scene, the precogs running their hot dog truck from the trash moon tell the Devil's Advocate robot that it's going to die of a massive coronary at the age of 43 because hot dogs, not very healthy, and it seems like that's the only food source that they have down here. Like that's the line just goes on and on and on, and it's the only thing they're eating. And they end with another bit calling out the accuracy of their predictions, like, are you telling me the truth? Is this what's actually going to happen? Or do you just not want to deal with the actual boss?
Go talk to him, Steve.
So because there were so many billions and billions of Easter eggs and references just baked into the background of every single scene, mostly on the trash planet, if there are any that you spotted in the episode that I didn't talk about specifically during the video, just write them below in the comments. But because there were so many, you could watch this episode like 10 more times and still find new Easter eggs. The really big reminder is that next week, episode 10 is the finale this season. Season 9, I expect to release around the same time that season 8 came out. It seems like they're on a pretty regular schedule, unless there's some other big global issue that happens or some big strike in Hollywood. Hopefully that does not happen. A little while ago, the show did get renewed for an additional 2 seasons on top of the 10 order, so technically it's 12 total seasons now, but they haven't really talked too much about what their plans are that far out. There's a bunch of stuff happening this week. The Fantastic Four movie is coming out. The Superman movie just came out, so I'm trying to do videos for everything. Kevin Feige also just did a giant info dump about the next 7 years at Marvel and how the MCU is changing, so I will try to do videos for all that stuff as soon as possible. My Fantastic Four review should also post on Tuesday, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that. Click here for all my Fantastic Four videos. I'll update the link as soon as I start posting all those, and click here for all my Rick and Morty episodes. Thank you